Okay, we will just begin with out of lack of words, sit for a few minutes. I have to say sit, but I will explain a little bit more after we yes, sit a few minutes. Dhyan, something, nyamja. In Chinese, I think they say it chan, Japanese zen. Anyway, dhyan is India's one of the most beautiful, most profound, most precious gift to the world. Now the Indians must try to recharge this a little bit. Dhyan is translated in Tibetan nyamja. There's the two words, nyamja and gom. Let me talk a little bit about nyamja. Nyam means equal, equality, unbiased, or non-duality. Non-duality is non-duality is the heart, the spine, the eyes, the head, the brain of Buddhism. If you lose non-duality, Buddhism is just another theistic, superstitious. It then just becomes just religion. If you have the non-duality, yes, it is a religion, but it is also many other things. Non-duality, this is the most precious. Heart Sutra. No this, no that. I can hear na, how do you say it? Na, rupa, na, all that. No this, no that. The Heart Sutra is just about a one page. The longer version has 8,000 verses. If you want more, there's a 20,000 verses. If you want more, there's 100,000 verses, which was revived by great Nagarjuna, the abbot of Nalanda University. Then how many commentaries? Oh, so many. So many. It's big. I don't want you to go back, especially those who are new. Don't want you to go back thinking that Buddhism is just sitting and being in the present. No. Being in the present is just one technique. The Prajna Paramita, Madhyamika, is like this is really big. You can include everything there. Leadership, management, parenting, gardening, I don't know, home decorating, everything. On non-duality. And if you have that non-duality, then I think guaranteed success. For instance, okay, I just suddenly remember Ganesha is there. The Tantric Buddhism also has, stuff like Ganesha. They have stuff like Jambala, Kubera, Vasudhara, and all that. And you can practice it. There's a sadhanas, there's like fire puja, everything. And then the essence of that is the wealth. That this is supposedly wealth, prosperity deity. The real prosperity is non-duality. It's the highest prosperity. When you realize the non-duality, there's nothing to put in the trash can. You understand? Everything becomes valuable. Everything is valuable. Everything is equally, I don't know, should I say good, bad? There's no good, bad. Perfect, basically. Most important kind of wealth. The second, and then in order to study that, in order to achieve that, then there are techniques such as like practicing contentment and so on, and then the mantras and all those are not rejected, not at all. Anyway, I'm going here and there. This is my problem. Whenever I say things, I go everywhere. I have to come back to nyamja, that words of dhyan. Nyamja, nyam means equal. In fact, even the gesture represents this. There are two kinds of gesture, but the most popular gesture is this. Equally, your gesture is equally placed together. And there's a tantric one, but it's more like the Nyingma tradition of the old translation. They also sit like this. Nyam. Now, more important within our context is the word ja. Tibetan word ja is really rich. Of course, it came from, translated from Sanskrit word. Ja. I don't know how to say this actually. Ja has this connotation of leave it alone. You understand? Leave it alone. Even in the colloquial language, in the Tibetans, it's dipage ja, ja, meaning leave it alone, leave it alone. Like it's there's almost like it's like this. Not like all this kind of thing. You understand? This ja, very important, this one. Because they think we just don't have the habit of leaving things alone and let it be. We just so itchy, like we have to poke and rearrange and, I don't know, paint and stuff. Again, going back to Zen Buddhism, this is a big thing in Zen Buddhism, for instance. If you go to their temple, it's really, it's very, very, very minimalist, you can call it. But, the beautiful thing about Buddhism is the minimalism is also ja, leave it alone. But a chaotic Tibetan temple is also considered ja. You can be ja in a minimalist way, and you can be ja, or with the kitschy, colorful, blinking lights, all this way. The attitude, ja. And not only the arrangement of the room, but just the body language. I have to say, I'm lucky having met some of the great masters. They're kind of now in extinction, but I've met many great masters who now I remember, during those days when we were young, we never really paid attention, but we're recalling, you can just, their whole presence is this ja. They're always continuously just leaving things alone. They're never pausing, so to speak. Pausing, they're never, but sometimes they do pausing, but when they do the pausing, you can tell they know, you can tell they're laughing at themselves. Pausing, like this kind of pausing. Like this kind of posing. They do that. But you can tell that they're laughing at themselves. They're just laughing. That's so good. Just so relaxed. See, all these words that our spa people have stolen and plagiarized, words like relax. It's okay. because of my ear, My ear is like this, so no.
Can be tightened with it.
Oh,
Squeeze it.
okay. Oh, that's true, okay. So, yeah. This ja. Yeah, I was saying like words like relax. Normally the word relax is this, isn't it? Kind of. But it's actually, the yogis don't think this is ja. This is just another pause, they think. You just have to psychologically, emotionally, intellectually, just in every way, ja. You understand? So you can use that for parenting. You can lead a whole world with this attitude of ja. Leaders will really benefit from this, actually. But this is, I have to say, all this what we have been saying yesterday and today, also this morning, I'm talking about the actual technique. Technique is very good, but then, us individual have, our strength of, how strong habit we have and how good you are handling this habit. That will determine what kind of elaboration or simplicity you need. For instance, like Japanese Zen, in the Zen tradition. In fact, the Zen tradition, the first thing they teach you, I even know the words, shikantaza, they call it. Shikantaza means just sit. That's what it actually means. They teach you first year, the first time you go to a Japanese temple, that's what they teach you. To just sit. Nothing to think of. Just sit, that's it. Hours after hours. 9 years later, they are still teaching this. But after 9 years, the word just has become very, very different. Right now, just sit means like not writing, not drinking, not dancing, just sit. The word just eliminates all that. But after 9 years, the word just has become so profound. After 9 years, the practitioner of Zen is still doing shikantaza, but his just means a lot. Probably he's not even meditating because his word just has eliminated this burden of meditation. Meditation is a burden, all path is a burden. But yes, of course, this technique we can't really, probably not suitable for, I don't know, Indians. Probably not. Different faculties. To a certain amount, yes. Different faculties. Tibetans also maybe not so suitable. So there's something like Dejut is something which is like Tibetans love chanting. Equally, it's equal. Chanting, prayer, circumambulating something, like a statue. All that. Depending on practitioner's strength. So this is where the word gom comes in, gom. Gom has a connotation of habituating. I've said this already yesterday. Right now you don't have the habit of being in the present. The opposite you have. You have the habit of immediately rushing to the past or the future. That's your habit. How much willingness you have to combat with that. how savvy you are combating this. How clever you are. How much time can you put? How much investment you can do? You can invest time, energy on combating this. I mean, first thing is, are you even willing to do it? Probably yes, but maybe your willingness is like sometimes yes, sometimes no. No. It's a pity actually that we don't have that kind of willingness to habituate ourselves in being in the present. Because it doesn't cost you anything actually. It's the most economical. Yet it gives you the real blessing, bliss. It really frees you from all sorts of trouble. And it's not as if you never habituate with with anything. You do. All your worldly habit that you have learned. You have been diligent with that. You have been practicing those things very diligently. That's why you have become a perfect, samsaric being. Because you practiced hard. And those things are not giving you a, complete satisfaction. Yes, here and there, you have a bliss of ignorance. And those things cost you emotionally, financially. Many of those things you can't do can't do at all times. But being in the present is really economical, easy. Yet, as I said, it really is the key to everything. So there's really no reason why we should not do it. But I know it's difficult to do it because there's just a lot of, strange habits we have. For instance, we are like, what do you call it? Pack rat? Rat pack? Pack rat. Pack rat? Pack rat who collects everything. Pack rat, right? Everything, you just open your suitcase or in my case, suitcase, but just house so many things. Pack rat. And you long for some sort of a space, but you are the one who does this pack rat, practice. We have that kind of, habit. And you just love troubles. We love it. We just can't stay out of trouble. We just, trouble. We love troubles. And we love hanging around with people who gives us trouble. Also, like bad habit. Bad habit people, we like it. I don't know, somehow, you resonate with them. Stuff like that. There's a six of them which I don't remember at the moment. If you are interested, I'll maybe write it, and it's from Maitreya. Again, yeah. Like, yeah, you will, and usually we human beings, we like wrong view. As much as we think we are intellectual, we are so rational, blah, 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 nah. We actually like wrong view. Many of so-called our right view is all permeated and sweetened and salted with wrong view. We are actually, basically we love being either eternalist, or we love being nihilist. Yeah, we love being fundamentalist, extremist. There is something in us. That's why the shunyata, the emptiness, which is nothing to do with, extreme less is difficult. It's very difficult to chew. It's useless, basically. Actually, from the Buddhist point of view, spiritual path, the definition of the spiritual path from the Buddhist point, Buddhism is it's totally useless from the worldly point of view. It's actually more, from the worldly point of view, if it is useless. To give you an example, like in the ancient India, when I was traveling, I think it's somewhere near Ajanta Ellora. Where is that? Andhra Pradesh? No. Maharashtra. You see this suddenly out of nowhere, in the middle of nowhere, there's a gate. Like on a mountain or the rocks. That's it. That's what I call spiritual. Now the gate has to be useful. It should have the facility to close, some sort of a check post. Do you understand? It should be useful. Like a stupa. You must have seen stupa. It's useless. You can't use it. You can't go in. If there's a rain, nowhere to go in. Useless. House is useful. Your dhyan, from the worldly point of view, wow, you are wasting so much time. While, what is it, Dow Jones? And all those things are going up and down. You're sitting here, wasting your time. This oh yes, one thing I need to say. Contemplation. Yeah, this is what I was thinking of sharing with you today a little bit. What we have been talking is quite, I did. Of course, although I was presenting it in a very sort of more simplified or kind of more general way, it is sort of the most ultimate approach, which is, I decided to do it right at the beginning, and then actually, because I want you to sort of have a taste of the value of awareness, cognizance, or let's use the word mindfulness. But to really get into that, all the foundation practice, mind training practices, utmost important. So for instance, like a shamatha and vipassana, and this is, let's talk about this a little bit in the morning. Shamatha is a very common meditation. Vipassana, I would say, is more exclusive Buddhist. Again, here, even nowadays, we are losing that knowledge. Vipassana is exclusive. Okay, shamatha is basically, to put it really simply, technique of shamatha is to make you realize, how should I put it? Okay, very, very simplified, okay? Shamatha meditation is to make you realize you cannot meditate. That's it. That's the whole purpose of the shamatha. Okay, put it in a more classic way is more, traditional way of teaching is shamatha is to make your mind malleable, workable. For instance, if I ask you, okay, everyone, for 5 minutes, please get angry with me. You can't do it. But let's say you are angry with somebody now. And then say, okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. You can't do it. Why? Because your mind, your habit is like a pebble, like a stone, rigid. Remember? Chain of thoughts. You just have to follow that speed. You just have to sort of follow that. You have no control. What shamatha does is you gain the control. But anyway, I think the earlier version probably is easier to understand. It's just to make you realize you can't meditate, you cannot concentrate. Let's do this now. Choose your object. It could be the back of somebody's head, if you are sitting behind somebody. It could be breathing. It could be, maybe the floor is, I think needing to look down is a bit too straining. I don't know, the wall, wherever you are sitting. I think many times they ask you to concentrate on this, which is fine. Just concentrate on that only, nothing else. Back of the head of somebody, breathing. I'm looking at the tripod, for instance, and only that. The moment you are distracted, and the moment you realize you are distracted, come back to the object. Okay. What this most probably a moment later your mind is somewhere. Then you try to come back several times, but you keep on going. That's it. That's shamatha. I'm serious. This is it. This is complete. So you keep on doing that one. That's a shamatha. You end up knowing you're always distracted. That's a big benefit. If you know what you should not be doing, that's as close as knowing what you should be doing, you know. Buddhists say, if you know what is ignorance, 90% job's done, you will have wisdom soon. Looking at the doorknob, I don't know, whatever, pen, paper. Probably not so good at looking at a light or a television, whatever, any other not moving object. By doing this, all your gross discursive thoughts will settle. Gross aggression, gross jealousy, gross all emotions will settle. And warning, this settlement of your emotion, very dangerous. This is not liberation. The mud has settled. It's underneath. Anytime somebody can stir it and instantly clear water, it will be muddy. It's just, but this is good though. This is already quite good. Very good actually, even this. So then what do we do to uproot all the mud? We want to take out all the mud. Now this is a big question. So this is where the vipassana comes in. And the vipassana is endless. You already did one. We have been doing for being in the present is one way. Being in the present, as how I was guiding you yesterday, is one way, and being in the present is a bit like this. It's more the shamatha, but maybe about 5% vipassana. And it's a good one. There are other meditation which is more vipassana, but not so much required shamatha, so to speak. Little dangerous. Because that's like really, grabbing the mud, basically stirring it, stirring. You want to get rid of the mud as soon as possible. Tantra, working with the mud. I would not advise those who are new and beginner, I would not advise too much. Don't rush into that. Very dangerous. Because it's like this, I will tell you. Buddhism, the Dharma, there are too many techniques. There are technique that teaches us how to solve a problem with a solution and the problem as a total opposite, which is easier for beginners. Oh, problem, black. Solution, white. Okay? Then, as you study, all the different technique, and higher the technique, more profound the technique, gap between solution and the problem is narrower. In the Tantra, solution is the problem and problem is the solution. They are one. But don't go in there now, especially those who are new. It's better to have, this is a problem, this is a solution. Easier. That's what I was saying yesterday. Maybe not yet in the hammock and margarita, not yet. But later, yes, why not? Anyway, is fine. We will talk about the vipassana, but maybe just one question, and then we take a break, is it? Yeah.
I know it's a very big...
You want to use the...
I know it's a very big subject, but for those of us that don't know, could you tell us a little bit about non-duality?
Okay, well, we will. Yeah, vipassana is about that. Shamatha alone does not really think about non-duality so much. As I said, shamatha just wants to let you know that you cannot concentrate. That's what, yeah. So you are supposed to meditate so that you know you can't meditate. But at the same time, of course, yeah, must meditate. We push you to meditate. Vipassana is altogether different. That has non-duality. Yeah? Suresh. This is nothing to do with...
No.
Okay. No, he says.
I'm thinking about people being able to sit for 4 hours, 5 hours in shamatha. So
Yeah.
are they just in a state of, sort of
Oh yes.
intoxication?
Non-distracted. Yeah.
Because you're saying that you can't concentrate, that you can't do that for... Is that 24/7 or just for 24?
Oh no. This is what I was saying earlier. Remember, I said this settlement or the settling down, the experience of settling all the gross emotions is really good. It has a benefit. So many benefits. Okay, let me tell you. What are the benefits of just doing shamatha? Okay, forget vipassana. And you are so good at it, your gross thoughts have gone down. First of all, and actually I have seen that also, this is actually related to, again, wellness. And let's say usually you eat 5 plates of rice. You do shamatha, I would say 3 weeks. And if you are shamatha, you will reach to a certain level. I will say 5 spoons will do. You will still feel not hungry. Because hunger is related to, again, mind. It's about emotion. It's about addiction. It's about, it's a bit like shopping, Sometimes we need to present ourselves, always, give ourselves some present. Buy things, gadgets, shoppings, food. Shamatha does that. It's called Lu Xinjiang, perfection. Yeah. And then also, a lot of things. Your body will always feel very light. And then, this is what people get so attached to shamatha, and this is what the Buddhist gurus always warn us. By doing a lot of shamatha, your intuition begin to become so big. Intuition. Just looking at somebody, you can almost tell what she or he or they are thinking. Because, there's not so much filter. And then people kind of like that kind of clairvoyance kind of experience. Very dangerous. It's because it's not liberation. We are not looking for this. Remember I told you, Buddhists don't care about whether you are stressed or not, happy or not, clairvoyant or not, being able to fly or not. we want to see the truth. And this taste of so relaxed, 5 spoons of rice, yet no need to sleep also. Yeah, no need to sleep much, maybe a few minutes of nap. And this is good. Buddhists really warns a lot of warning on that. It's called bliss of samadhi. That's very identical to enlightenment also, at glance.
That's what I wanted to ask you, that can you kind of experience the 8 resolutions in those states of shamatha,
Yes.
in the prayer-like moment?
Yes.
You can.
Yes, you can.
And how many hours should you have to sit for that?
Oh, many.
4 hours.
Oh, that's nothing. Even a lot of people today, those who go to so-called vipassana, but they mostly do shamatha, they sit 9 hours. Burma, everywhere. I did once in Burma. I was incognito. This was a long time ago. Joined for a few days and then volunteered to chop vegetable for the monastery. It was so hard, my goodness. Anyway, 9 hours. That's sort of the standard Burmese vipassana people. They do like about 9 hours. And everybody says this. You know, those people who say, "Oh, I can never sit more than 10 hours. 10 minutes." I have met them. Oh, after 3 days, you know, it was fantastic, good experience. Blah blah blah, all that. But then a real matured Buddhist master have to shake it up and condemn all that experience. You think this is great? Nothing, so on and so forth. There's a whole volumes on that. It's like for an unexperienced ear, very discouraging. The scoldings that you get because you have a meditation experience. There's volumes after volumes. I carry one every day. Everywhere I go, written by Jigme Lingpa. First page to the last page is scoldings, warnings, all that. Okay, this and then we go to break. Yes.
But isn't it in some ways a contradiction? Because I've been doing Vipassana now for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I went for it, there was a feeling looking for. So isn't it a contradiction
Yes.
in some ways that we do, whether shamatha or vipassana, trying to get away from that, and yet whilst we are practicing it, somewhat
That's why the Tibetans would say, okay, I'm now speaking typical Tibetan Buddhist. That's why they will say, you need to hire somebody who will dismantle you. We are talking about guru. Or at least you need to carry this book, who really discourages you with all your achievement. So what do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You think you are an omniscient? You think you are clairvoyant? You think you can... All that categories. There's nothing. It's like... one of the great master called Jigme Lingpa, he said he would sooner... What did he say? So many things. Some of them are so beautiful. It's like one of them is like small insect eating wood, and termites. And you know, as they eat the wood, then they sort of sit inside, and then there's a space they have created, and then this termite thinks this is a sky. And then there's this sky. Stuff like that. There's so many scoldings. Okay, Veer asked earlier about non-duality. very difficult one. It's really, really difficult to talk about non-duality. You have heard this example, you know. How do you introduce, how do you talk about sweet to someone who has never tasted sweet? Yet, we need to, we know that only through letting this person taste the sweet, he or she will gain liberation. That's the only key. So it's very important that we tell them what is sweet. But we don't know how to say it to someone who has never tasted. There's no reference. So I would say all the Buddhist teachings are basically trying to talk about shunyata, trying to talk about sweet, let's say. But by giving you salt, chili, masalas, turmeric, ginger, and each time saying, this is not it. This is not the sweet. So a lot of deconstruction. That's why you hear the word na this, na that. It's so funny to hear the Heart Sutra in different nations. Like when in Japan, they use the word mu, which is na. Here in the Sanskrit na, in Hindi na. They say mu, and then I think Chinese is wu, and Tibetan is me. So me, da me, di me, ro me, re me, che me, do me, kam me, bani, ji kam me. So me. You know Osho Rajneesh? Yeah, Osho. He is really, he's so funny. He's good. He's, brilliant. He said, Buddhist no is very special no. Because in the Buddhist no, there's 100,000 yes. So that's it. The Buddhist na, Buddhist mu, very, it's kind of very rich. It's actually a lot of full, F-U-L-L, full, instead of negation. There's all. But then you may ask, why then we choose the word no? Why not? Positive language? Actually, we do also choose a positive language. There's a whole school of Buddhism, in fact, bigger, very big, one that flourished in China, Japan, everywhere. They choose more. Should I say word positive? I don't know, maybe positive is not the right word. But they use that. You see, you are hearing Tibetan talking at the moment, coming from the tradition of Nagarjuna. It's the Nagarjuna and the company talks no. Maitreya or the Asanga and the company, they talk luminosity more. Luminosity means exactly the same thing, by the way. It's exactly the same thing. But I need to tell you this. Remember, we were talking about the truth. And the truths are really nothing supernatural or divine. It's just, it's very simple, like all the impermanences, all compounded things are impermanent, so on and so forth. And then especially all projections, whatever you project does not exist externally, inherently. That's a big one. If you know that, if you know this, not intellectually, but even intellectually, if someone told you, after let's say 50 years of marriage with somebody, if someone sort of, your wife or husband, whatever, your partner actually has tail. Have you seen it? You understand what I mean? Wow. Your attitude will change. You will want to see it. At least. And your husband or wife, whoever is, what's he doing all the time? Or what's she doing? Like trying to catch the glimpse of her or him in the bathroom. I don't know, whatever. You will change. You understand? Shift. Now, if you really see the tail, wow. Even a look-alike one, the whole dimension is changed. That's it. See, right now, so the even intellectual sort of, wow, all these are my projection. And projection is, just a projection. It's not there. It will do something to you. Like the dream, you're falling from the cliff or from a building and you suddenly realize you are dreaming. It will do something to you, different. What we are trying to do is trying to understand that truth. Okay. Now, there's many ways. The best way, the best way, the simplest way is if the student, Shishya, is totally surrendering, taking refuge to this truth. Not only intellectually, but from the heart. Just as what happened, this Mahamudra of Ganges, back to that. Telopa, basically after torturing Naropa 12 years or something, hit him with his shoes on his head. After that, dimension changed, shifted. Bengali, right, Naropa? Isn't it? Prashant? This is your fellow Bengali. Shifted, he totally changed. Just a slap on his head with his shoes. No teaching, nothing. Before that, everything just... Before that, no teaching, nothing. All he did is all sorts of strange things, like asking him to steal people's soup. All kinds of things, like pinching bottom of a princess during a procession and getting beat up. All this kind of thing. And then anyway, just a total shift. Okay, let me describe the shift. It's a bit like, and there's a description, meaning, right now, size of your palm and the size of the sky, big difference, isn't it? Shift. Size means nothing. Kilo of a gold and a kilo of a dust. Right now, big difference. Shifted. It's all changed. Everything shifted. wow, this lineage is so important. And this guy, Naropa, taught to Marpa. Marpa taught to so on and so on and so on. And this teaching went all the way to the court of the Chinese emperor. And many Chinese emperors become the disciple. And today, this lineage is held by the lineage called Karmakaju, Karmapa. You are familiar with? Yeah, Karmapa lineage. That's just one lineage I'm talking about. There's so many things like that. Virupa. Again, another great Nalanda guy. He's practiced. And practiced all these mantras, stuff like that. And he was so frustrated. He said, what's the point? I'm nothing, nothing to gain. He was so angry, he packed up his rosary and threw it in the toilet. At that moment, shift happened. And that lineage, at the moment, is held by Sakyapa people. The toilet guy, basically. Yeah. There's so many lineages like that. And, some of this, maybe, I don't know, I should not be speaking. Great Saraha. So special. Saraha. He's a guru of Nagarjuna, dean or the sort of chancellor of the Nalanda University. Big deal. The great Indian kings and the queens and the merchants during those days venerated Nalanda. And he is the dean, he's the boss of the Nalanda University, heading all these monks. And he was not satisfied with academic whatever. Because he said, what's the point? So he went searching for another guru. He's already very accomplished, very learned, but he's not satisfied with this intellectual. He went and he finally found his guru, part prostitute and part arrow maker, a woman. When he first saw her, she was making arrow and she was shooting the arrow towards just empty, no target to aim, And then that sort of struck him and said, wow, what's she doing? And then he asked, don't you need some sort of a target to really see whether your arrow is crooked or not, And then her reply was, this is your problem. You have a target. I have no target. And starting from that came another lineage. All these lineages are still alive, by the way. Most of them, wow, so many Tibetans, translators and practitioners died, bitten by mosquitoes, snakes, clashing with the Indian dacoits, so on, but managed to, import in Tibet, and now it's re-imported to India, I would say. It's there. Doha of Saraha. By the way, Rajneesh have a teaching on that. Doha of Saraha, if you are interested. He did a quite good explanation, I must say. Doha is like what the Bowls of Bengal, I think they sing something like a Doha, isn't it? Yeah. It's expression of their realization. Anyway, what am I saying these things? Oh yeah, the non-duality, right? Non-duality. Yes, the non-duality, lineage of non-duality. So what is non-duality? Non-duality is difficult because language is not good enough. Oh, this is it. So actually there's many ways to experience it. But I'm sorry to say, I'm not Telopa. And I'm kind of assuming you are not Naropa. So you are safe. I'm not going to use my shoes. It's not going to work. You understand? Because you are not totally surrendering. And even if you do total surrender, I cannot really, take the responsibility. You understand? Total surrender of people, oh my goodness, this is... Immediately I will bring my lawyer and say, okay, sign this disclaimer. Very dangerous these days. Only thing we can do is reasoning, deduction, deconstruction. So that's why you study things like Madhyamika, Prajanaparamita. Hearing, argument, this, that, contradiction, all that. This is why there's all this Buddhist study of volumes after volumes. If you meet someone like Telopa, and if you have the Naropa attitude, no need, all this is a waste of time. All you need is just wake up, shift. And don't tell me shift is not possible. It is. Drink margarita. You will have a shit, won't you? You do. But of course, this kind of shift is temporal, dependent on substance. You get addicted to that substance, and it's soon going to go away. And this kind of shift only make you dull, or maybe a little bit superficial confidence. That's it. I'm just telling you that it's not as if shift is not possible. Shift is very possible. Margarita can do it. Mushrooms can do it. Peyote can do it. All you need is a shift. Okay, back to non-duality. You, of all the people, you should be, the Indians especially, you should be home with non-duality. I always say this, and I really mean it. You guys are people who can accept that Ganesha rides on mouse. There. It's a really good description of non-duality. Big elephant riding a small mouse? How is that possible? All your deities are sitting on lotus. Try to sit on lotus. They'll be squished, flattened. But your deities' lotus, they're all intact, beautiful. Stuff like that. Basically, what non-duality, you see, instead of talking about non-duality, let's talk about why non-duality is not fitting in our head. Even though it always happens. Okay, for instance, like, let's stay in Vana for 10 days. You will feel that it's like one or 2 days. Let's spend a time, maybe 1 hour in the jail, prison. You will feel it's a 1 year or something. Time goes very slowly. Non-duality, see? Where is long and short? Beauty, ugly. None of your projections exists inherently. Big, small, good, bad, evil, wholesome, divine. Everything is relative. Nothing truly exists as how you experience or how you project. Did I tell you this? I was coming back from Goa, a plane full of, what do you call them? Hari? No, not eunuchs, they are Are they eunuchs?
Hijra.
Hijra? Yeah. Plane full of hijras. Yeah. It's amazing, like, and I was just so fascinated. Where are you guys going? I'm sitting next to these, and they're all beautifully adorned. Anyway, one of them said, well, we were just invited by some big, wedding to bless the bride or a groom or something. And all along I've been thinking, I was brought up thinking that the Indians sort of look down at them like as a sort of inauspicious, non-duality here. You of all the people should be kind of at home with this non-duality. Something bad is suddenly good, and something good is suddenly bad.
Because Holi they go around from house to house.
Oh yeah, today? Do we have hijras visiting us? Today? Okay. But I think, India, no other countries is managing to really chew and digest and swallow it. Yes, when we teach emptiness, when we teach shunyata, when we teach like a prajna paramita, madhyamika in Oxford, Cambridge, San Francisco, Westerners, because they're very intellectually, they like it. They can sense the logic, they can really appreciate. But to really go inside their bones and blood, in their DNA, a little difficult. It's very... But it is how it is, everything is like that, actually. We were talking about the Vimalakirti Sutra. Oh, this is a beautiful sutra. There's a section where, for instance, even within Buddhism, there's a Buddhist yana or the vehicle called Charvaka yana, where practice is more like a, like a Vinaya. Monk, nun, monks, don't touch women, like all that, like hierarchy stuff. But in the Vimalakirti Sutra, there's a section where this great monk, Shariputra, like the right-hand man of Buddha, visiting the house, and suddenly in the house, she's almost like a maid of the Vimalakirti. She herself is very powerful, and she miraculously turned Shariputra into a woman, this monk. And he was so freaking out, I'm a woman, but what to do? And then there's a conversation between this girl and Shariputra, now in the form of a woman. This woman saying, what do you mean by gender? I don't see any woman. Who are you talking about? What is gender? Whole chapter on that. Only now people are talking about women's equality. Actually, people should read Vimalakirti Sutra, because I think the modern equality of men and gender is still very dualistic. It's still a man and a woman. This, in the Vimalakirti Sutra, they talk real equality of gender. What is woman? What is man? This is an illusion. It's so beautiful. It's in the Vimalakirti Sutra. Anyway, it is a very sort of unacademic, not non-academical way of understanding non-duality. Many, many beautiful examples, like a reflection of your face in the mirror. Every morning you must go to toilet and you must see your face in the mirror. Every day you see this. Every time you go to the mirror, you see your face, right? But, without failing, never once you saw a banana or something. Every time when you look at it, you see your face. But even though it has always been unfailing, that does not prove that the person in the mirror is real. It's still a reflection. time does not make it real. Consistency does not make it real. Function, oh yeah, mirror, reflection of the mirror gives a lot of good function. You know, you can fix things, you can put stuff on your face correctly. I don't know, you can straighten your ties correctly. But none of this proves that the thing in there is real. It's an illusion. But illusion does not mean that it does not exist. So the word na, mu, me does not mean negation. It appears, but at the same time, it is empty by its nature, like a reflection of the moon in the water. It's beautiful, bright. That doesn't mean that it's there, real. That's how the Buddhists see you and me. It's here. It's not that we are not here, but we are also not inherently here as how we project ourselves. That's about all I can do for now. But if you want to study this more, there are hundreds of books you can read. Madhyamika Mula Karika, Madhyamika Karika. Oh, 60 verses of Madhyamika, 70 verses of Madhyamika. Too many. So many books. Arguments. Maybe I should let you ask more questions, since,
Sir, I want to ask you, I asked you personally also yesterday, there are moments where I just go blank.
Oh.
Or like even while I'm meditating, I'm just thoughtless. So is that right, or as in, I don't know, am
No.
I on the right track?
Yeah. You just have to be aware of that. It's just an experience. Yeah. You just have to be, yes. You just have to be aware of that. And if you do that, good. Blankness is nothing more disturbing or special than, discursive thoughts. It's just another waves. You cannot go to the beach and say, oh, this wave is good. This wave is not good. Because they're all one. And they will come back again in different form. Yes, deity. Yeah, I use the word, deity.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Also because as human beings, our sense of self is convoluted. What we do is to seek validation, to seek...
Yeah, that's a big one.
Metaphysics, psychology, everything is about relationship to self. How much money we can have, what we are seeking is to feel better about ourselves. What this notion of self, especially in relation to what you talk about?
As we talk about here, non-duality, first of all, actually in the Heart Sutra, what is the subject of the Heart Sutra? It is a discussion between the, Avalokiteshvara and the Shariputra. Because it's actually a big conference, this Heart Sutra, held on the peak of Rajgir. It's a very important conference. It's like a, what do you call it? G-Summit? Is it? G20? Yeah, it's a bit like that. Very important. And aiming for one thing, how to solve the problem. Just like the G20 people.
More like the five-member Security Council of the UN.
Yes. Kind of. And that's the conference. Yeah, there was a lot of big people there, 500, what? Anyway, Mahasattvas, Maha-Arhats. Anyway, the conclusion is there is one problem. And that is thinking that there is a truly existing self. So, what is self? And that's where it is deducting. Remember, there's no I, there's no form, there's no feeling, there's no this, no that, no that. So, there is no self. So, if you are asking a Buddhist, is a self is just an illusion. Now, coming to your question, the previous question, the deity, that non-self is sometimes practiced as the deity, that emptiness. Remember, I've been telling you, the Buddhist no is not a pure negation. This is a little difficult. This one will take some time to, not that easy to. Okay? It's already read.
My understanding of non-duality is maybe slightly different, or maybe I don't understood what you told. So non-duality for me, it's coming from a Sanskrit word which is advaitvad, which means that we are not two. That means we are the part of same God, which is like we are Atma or soul, and the God is Paramatma.
Right.
And we have to see that there is no difference. So anything else, for example, if you say we are not body, I'm not thought, I'm not anything else, but I'm that Paramatma, and that realization is self-realization. Is that also right way of thinking?
Yes, yes. You know, you are talking about Advaita.
By Shankaracharya.
Yes, Shankaracharya. You are talking to a Buddhist, by the way.
Sure, but
Me. So what I'm saying is that because the pre-Shankaracharya, so-called Samkhya, Purva Mimamsa, Nyaya, they don't have non-duality. So Buddhists, and I think some independent scholars, there is speculation that the Shankaracharya got it from Nagarjuna, the non-duality. This is the wide-known thing. Whereas in Buddhism, the non-duality started from the day one. Well, from Varanasi, Saranath. Yes, so the technique is same. One thing though, after hearing I would say, and this is something that we have been discussing with our friend there, one thing that is different from so-called Hinduism. I mean, Hinduism, as we know, it's not really because when we study Buddhism, Buddhist philosophy, we study also a lot of our so-called opponents, but a very very appreciated opponent. Not like Shia and, not like that. Very good, because they really, no fight for territory. Never. There's no communal sort of problems. It's all about philosophy. It's wonderful. The discussions between Nyaya and the Buddhists is tough. It's just amazing. It's all about non-duality. What I would say is, in Buddhism, as much as we talk about the non-duality, the aspect of the duality is never rejected. As you saw last night, the fire puja. This exists even in the sutras. Like a Vajrachedika Sutra, very famous, which again there is a commentary by Mr. Rajneesh. Diamond Sutra it's called. If you look at the Diamond Sutra, the meticulousness of the Buddha, how he folded his robe, washed his begging bowl, placed it on the table, blah, 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 all of that. And then suddenly there's this discussions about how there is no such thing as Buddha. What is Buddha? What is form? If you see Buddha as a form, you have a mistaken idea, and so on and so forth. So the relative is never rejected. So this is where Buddhists talk about compassion. In fact, the non-duality and the compassion in Buddhism is synonymous. This is, we are now opening a very big subject. I don't know whether we should go in there. There's a whole text written about that. Because the compassion, actually the English word compassion is not doing the justice to karuna and all that word. Because I think the word compassion derives from the Abrahamic concept of having a God and all that kind of thing, isn't it? Forgiveness, sin, forgiveness. I think the Abrahamic religious believe that, you have sinned, sort of original sin, and then if you trust the God, then you'll be sort of, what do you call it? Absolution. What do you call it? Yeah, all of that. But especially in the Mahayana Buddhism, instead of believing in original sin, you are originally, basically, fundamentally, you are perfect. You are Buddha. Remember I was talking about the cup? Why do you even have the confidence of washing this cup? Let's say it's really looking dirty. So dirty. You won't throw away the cup. You know you can clean it. The dirt is removable. The cup is you. And that's, okay, let's say it's clean. But actually it's neither clean nor not clean. It's just cup. Clean and not clean only came because there's this stain of coffee, which is nothing to do with the cup. Because when you buy this cup, it didn't come with a stain. Or when the potters made this cup, they didn't make it with some stain of coffee. There's not one. This understanding is really important with a non-dual, in connection with the non-duality, because we are talking about real compassion. Compassion, okay, let's put it in a very Californian language, okay? Having compassion to others, important, but having compassion to yourself, very important. And how do you do that? Having the confidence of Buddha nature. And this is also important for instance, like a bodhisattva. Like let's say you are a bodhisattva and your job is to enlighten all these beings. So as a bodhisattva, you look at them, angry, greedy, stingy, all that. But how you look at them is like a gold not polished nugget with a dust, everything. That's how you see. So it's like, oh, I have the raw material here. Gold businessmen go bypass the dust. You understand what I'm saying? They see the gold. They don't even look at they don't look and they don't see the dust, the mud. They see the gold, here it is. Now I can do something. That's compassion. Then it gives you courage, If you need to turn a dirt into a gold, it's guaranteed disappointment. You can't. So that kind of important. Okay, Badri, what is it? We have like this question and then we should go and change. I mean, you don't need to, right? You guys go like that, right?
Rinpoche, I request you to throw some light on the difference between conventional truth and ultimate truth. On one hand, we describe conventional truth as dreamlike, and that we need to wake up from this dream. And sometimes one goes through all kinds of nightmares and one is suffering, and that one needs to wake up. And the awakened state, the view of that is considered to be the ultimate truth. At the same time, one also hears of a kind of a non-hierarchical relationship between conventional truth and ultimate truth. That just now you said the conventional truth is never rejected. Now, I'm a bit confused about the conventional truth that the Buddhists claim is non-hierarchical with ultimate truth. Is that view of conventional truth the enlightened idea of conventional truth, or is it the layperson's idea of conventional truth?
Layperson's. Because, first of all, the conventional truth and the ultimate truth are both within the conventional truth. You know? So, being, how should I call it? Within the darkness, you have to find, in relation to the darkness, you have to find the light. How should I put it? This is a very big subject. Should we discuss this maybe later? Can you remind me? It's important though. I think some of those who are new should hear this. Because this is quite important, especially if you are thinking of studying Buddhist philosophy. You need to hear this, because lot of the Buddha's teachings, hear this is very important. Lot of the Buddha's teachings, actually most of them, 99% I would say, he taught, but he didn't really mean it. Really, it's serious, I'm serious. It's like, I've been using this word, Cinderella story. You want to put the baby to sleep? What do? You tell stories. What's your aim? To put somebody to sleep. Skillful means. Lot of Cinderella. Heart Sutra, Diamond Sutra, Vimalakirti Sutra, they are what he means. Okay, so if you ask me, okay, what are these Cinderella teachings of the Buddhism? Where he said, good, bad, don't do bad things, do good things. Samsara, nirvana, you don't want to go into there, you want to go in here. Oh, this is Cinderella teachings. Shunyata, non-duality, all of that, non-Cinderella. This is important. Actually, again, this is another Indian nuances, I think. Very Indian nuance. I think Jainis, I read some Jain teachings. They also teach like that. It's very important. Like, for instance, if you are talking to Stephen Hawking, even as he talk about a Big Bang, he will never differentiate like, oh, ultimately I'm saying this, not relatively. They don't say like that, right? It's all ultimate, basically, isn't it? Everything, I mean, there's only few relative teachings like Cinderella stories. Most of it is ultimate. But in Buddhism is, and I think basically the Indian wisdom, this is an Indian way of talking, actually. They have two kinds of way of talking. One, they mean it. The other, they don't mean it. I'm serious. This is the whole thing is like that. And we know that. For instance, like a Pure Land School, have you heard? Pure Land School of Buddhism? Yeah, Pure Land School. Most of them are, didn't really mean it. When Buddha said, oh, once I was a monkey in my previous life, blah, 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 all luring to the ultimate truth.
Kshetra rajopa सर्वजिनान् करोमि प्रणाम सर्वजिनाभिमुखेन मनेन भद्रचरे प्रणिधान बलेन एकरजागिरजोपमबुद्धा बुद्धसुतान् निषण्णकुमति एवमशेषत धर्मत धातुं सर्वधिमुच्यपि पूर्णजिनेभिः तेषु च अक्षयवर्णसमुद्रं सर्वस्वरागसमुद्रऋतेभिः सर्वजिनान् गुणान् गणमान् तान् सुगतांस्तव मेयं सर्वं पुष्पवरेभिः च माल्यवरेभिः वाद्यविलेपनछत्रवरेभिः दीपवरेभिः च धूपवरेभिः पूजनतेषु जिनान् करोमि वस्त्रवरेभिः च गन्धवरेभिः चूडपुटेभिः च मेरुसमेभिः सर्वविशिष्टवियूहवरेभिः पूजनतेषु जिनान् करोमि याचमनुत्तरपूजोदारा तानधिमुच्यमि सर्वजिनानां भाद्रचरे अधिमुक्तिबलेन वन्दमि पूजयामि जिन सर्वं यच्च कृतं मयि पापभवेय रागतु द्वेषतु मोहवशेन कायतु वाचमनेन तथैव तं प्रतिदेशयाम्यहं सर्वं यच्च दशादिशि पुण्यजगस्य शैक्ष अशैक्ष प्रत्येकजिनानां बुद्धसुतानथ सर्वजिनानां तं अनुमोदयाम्यहं सर्वं ये च दशादिशि लोकप्रदीपा बोधिविबुद्धसङ्गतप्राप्तं तानहु सर्वे यथेशमिनाथां चक्रहनुत्तरवर्तनताय येऽपि च निर्वृतिदर्शितुकामा तानभियाचमि प्राञ्जलिभूतं क्षेत्ररजोपमकल्पस्थिहेतुं सर्वजगस्य हिताय सुखाय वन्दनपूजनदेशनताय मोदनधीषणयाचनताय यच्च शुभं मयि सञ्चितु किञ्चित् बोधैनामयमीयं सर्वं बोधैनामयमीयं सर्वं बोधैनामयमीयं सर्वम्
We insist that this is not a spa, right? This is a wellness retreat. Should we call that? No? Is it?
Just
Just a retreat. I actually really like that. I have a sympathy with this. I've been to several of places that promises to rejuvenate spirit and body and mind and emotions. I also know actually people who run these things, like in Thailand, Bali. But I have to say, this is a very special. This is not. I have said this in different places also. Because I think you have some kindness. That's the key. Kindness to make people well and sane and sober. I don't know, maybe many of you don't know, there was a Buddhist master, Atisha, his name, coming from Bengal, probably now Bangladesh actually. Very, very respected. He went to Tibet. Basically, he died in Tibet. 12th century, I think. And every time he talks about his gurus back in India, he would always fold his palms together like this. Every time he mentions the his names of his gurus. But there's one guru I think his name is Dharmakirti, but in Sanskrit, but in Tibetan we call him Serlingpa, which means the man from Golden Island. But I believe his Sanskrit name is Dharmakirti. Anyway, every time Atisha talks about that guru, Dharmakirti, he would fold his palms like this, put on his head, and then cry, tears in his eyes. That's what happens. So one day, Dromtempa is the Tibetan disciple of Atisha, chief disciple, main disciple, asked him, you have so many gurus, and we noticed that every time you talk about other gurus, you only fold this palms here, but with this one, you make a big deal out of him. Why is that? Atisha said, because Atisha is considered very, very kind. He's supposed to, he put so much emphasis on kindness and also tolerance. He used to bring, actually he brought, when he went to Tibet, he brought a Bengali friend who is supposedly very annoying, just to annoy him, to practice, tolerance and patience. This is the story. But anyway, Atisha said, if you can trace even a little bit of kindness in me, this is all because of Dharmakirti. And he said, because kindness is the most important. By the way, Dharmakirti is from Indonesia. And there's a beautiful story about how Atisha went to Indonesia by boat and how the boat faced, waves and thunderstorm and a lot of difficulties. Anyway, he basically went from India all the way to Indonesia, searching for this Dharmakirti, and he learned the lesson of kindness. So kindness is very important. And the same Atisha, sometimes he used to have a headache. And there's all these physicians in Tibet, I guess, Kumye people. But he would ask only Dromtempa, his chief disciple, to touch him, touch his head, or doesn't matter, touch somewhere. He said, doesn't matter where you touch, just touch me with your hand. Because you are a kind man. Dromtempa, his disciple, also ended up becoming very kind, I guess. Because I know you are very kind. And being touched by a kind person will heal you. It heals me. It is like it cures my headache. I'm telling you this because you already have so much kindness. I think just I can feel within the staff, administration, all the people who does the therapy. And that, I think you should maintain, and somehow you are, what do you call them? Patient? Guests?
We call them Vanavasis.
Vanavasis, okay. your Vanavasis will not forget this. If they might forget consciously, but unconsciously it will stay there. Probably they will remember, even though they forget. We forget things because life has too many things happening. But I think they will remember during their last breath that they have been taken care of with kindness. With my own experience, because I have to travel a lot teaching, and I usually stay with people's home, but sometimes I have to stay in inns, hotels, all kinds of places. And I have to say, there are some places where, people are so kind. I know this one bed and breakfast in England, in London, very close to London. Even I have place to stay, sometimes I go there just to experience the warmth and the kindness and I don't know. They don't have much. They only serve breakfast, really good breakfast. Just there's this lady who's just so kind. I think that should, this is something you already have. Collectively you seem to have, individually you seem to have. This I would like to remind you to maintain. Touch people with kindness, open the door with kindness, play flute with kindness, sing songs with kindness. I don't know, put on your uniform with kindness. Everything, what you do. And I think you'll be very surprised how this actually gets delivered and received. Unconsciously, definitely, but many times even consciously. Other than that, if you have something to ask me, I will say whatever you want me to say. I can try. What do you think we should discuss?
I guess even like an example of today, we've always thought of Vana as a place of healing and restoration, but as importantly, or eventually, a place of transformation and learning.
Mm-hmm.
Now those facets and dynamics of transformation and learning are getting stronger. So sometimes there could be a bit of a butting of heads between the two. So I have to shed light.
Are you talking about all the, I don't know how I should put it. It's okay. Are you talking about things like, your creativity activities?
Would you
Or going to places like Gaya, like a learning?
No, even here,
Vidalok.
Also, even here, we don't wish for Vana to just become a place where you come to feel only relaxed and safe and in a bit of a status quo.
Mm-hmm.
We feel that our job is to also provoke you, push you, make you evolve, make you grow.
I think that's happening, isn't it? That's a very big task, of course. But that's part of the healing, and that's part of the wellness too. Evolving. Creativity is a very, very important part of the wellness. I never even want to think the wellness is just sitting on a sofa and breathing sort of normally and not having headache or whatever, stomach ache, that of course. But wellness is also confidence, building confidence. That's actually the main wellness. So, creating that situation, facilitating that situation through art, through arrangement, through exhibition, I don't know, through all kinds of things. There's so many things happening here. Installation, pujas, making mess sometimes, cleaning stuff sometimes. All that is that I think that will strengthen definitely you guys, but also Vanavasis. Because I think, like even Bhutan, they're finally waking up. Bhutan is supposedly sort of a tourist destination, and they realize that tourists are not anymore interested in nice pictures, nice mountains and fresh air. They want to provoke. They want, I think they call it cultural tourism or something. So I think, like provoking, stirring, I think that is a big part of the Vana, which is also quite special. It's not just a place to sleep and rest and And I'm sure you guys are cooking up a lot of things, isn't it?
Last year when Prabhupada was here from Thailand, he spoke of constantly working on us developing this culture of excellence. And today you spoke about Ja, about letting it be. And you mentioned it could be in a chaotic way or it could be in the minimalist Japanese way. How can we, as individuals, collectively, I think by somehow we manage to pull through, but at individual capacity, how can all of us develop our culture of excellence or our discipline, our mindfulness, our awareness in our work and in being of service to other people?
That's a very difficult question. You gave me that book, Wabi Sabi, the Japanese, I think that's actually quite important, that's quite precious. I always think that is, because after all, what is excellence, But do you know any, you must know, some of you, Wabi Sabi, like basically, things can be beautiful because they are temporal. Like this is so beautiful because it's temporal, it's already plugged and it's already separated. And we know it's not going to last long, maybe 24 hours. But that because of that is beautiful. And then also I think about, I don't know, Wabi Sabi is a very, I can't really talk this in like 5 minutes. This is really a big one. The other one is this actually came from a Zen Buddhist sort of philosophy, very big philosophy. The other aspect of the Wabi Sabi is beauty in imperfection. Some things are, certain things are not perfect, but that can be also beautiful. Japanese is so good at that, you can see. I think yes, the Wabi Sabi, extracting and appreciating the beauty of temporary and also imperfection. I think that could bring some excellence. What do you think? But have to appreciate this though. And India is quite good at that, no? Sort of the chaos. What else? Whatever you want to.
What to ask? Rinpoche, I mean, adding on to what probably going further into what Mr. Singh was saying, if one's intention is for his or her benefit, then it's a different thing. But when one is trying to do something to help others and for the benefit of others, in that, when we feel that things are not going in the right direction or there are certain imperfections which should be plugged in and corrected. So in that approach, probably how one can have everyone else helping that person in that. I'm not too sure whether I'm able to put
Yes, I think I understand. I think you should treat Vanavasis, right? Vanavasis. You should almost, sorry. You should treat them like children actually. They're so precious. And to a certain extent, we should let them be. But also, you have to guide them, isn't it? It's so it's a great educator. I forgot her name, Leslie or something. Someone said, it's so unfortunate that we have to educate children, because educating is a brainwashing basically. You really don't want to do that. Actually, ideally, you don't want to do that. But the fact of the matter is, this is work. There's a reality. You have to pay bills. You have to, the children should not just end up swallowing everything that is in the whatever they get. You have to also have a guidance. So maybe you should think that your children. What do you think? The sort of kids here, spoiled kids, some of them, and many of them like a princess and the pea. You know the story there, like really, like nothing satisfies them. You can sort of cater it a little bit to a certain extent, but then some sort of boundary and some sort of firmness, which they will appreciate, I think. What else?
Rinpoche, you had mentioned that whatever we perceive is actually a projection. I wanted to clarify something, that you feel that there is no amount of truth if we are, supposing I am treated badly by him, and and day after day we both have a confrontation and we resolve it, whatever. And every time when I feel that way, I say, no, I have to forgive, I have to learn to accept, we are colleagues, we have to do this. Is that a projection or is that...
It is a projection, but you need to, while knowing it's a projection, you should still manipulate for the sake of harmony. Of course. It's like telling a bedtime story to a kid. We know it's not really happening, but that's the only way. So I think you still need to have some sort of a guidelines and some sort of a leadership.
sorry for the
Okay.
in our daily lives, to add value to each other and to cause harmony and everything, we know we need to be more disciplined. We know, we are aware of what our shortcomings are. We are aware of what we must do to improve. But somehow every day we either tell ourselves, we do it for 6 days and the 7th day we say, no, today we are blessed. We make excuses for ourselves. How can we become more responsible towards ourselves, by having this discipline?
I think, admitting and acknowledging that there is a lack of discipline, that's already a good beginning. I will not add anything more. Just keep on acknowledging this. Keep on admitting, we need to discipline ourselves. That's all. You don't need to have an extra discipline. I mean, that is also humility. Humility is very goes hand to hand with kindness. I think that's,
So the other students, so one of the situations always kind of trouble me is the beautiful teachings that we get to have from so many masters and teachers. But when it comes to practice, I think we still remain a novice, and the moment we're out on the teaching arena, or you can say the book that we read, we always find ourselves in a very confrontational situation, especially with the world around us, especially with the people that we live with. And that's perhaps the source of, the sorrow for so many of us. So I would like to know, maybe, I don't know, but is there a practical way to bridge the gap between what we are taught, or rather what we receive as the teachings, and how we act in general, so as to work in line with the teachings that we get?
That's where the discipline comes in. And if I can suggest something. You should allocate a certain time. And I would recommend not to narrow it by choosing a particular hour. I would say something like every day, all together, I will contemplate 10 minutes. Okay? And this 10 minutes can be divided into many parts. It can be in the morning, few minutes, afternoon, few minutes, add it up. So before you sleep, altogether 10 minutes. Contemplation. And then do this not long. I think 10 minutes is already too long, actually. Maybe 7 minutes. 5 minutes is good. But consistency, every day. And after a while, after about a month or two, it will be really boring. Because anything that is a routine and anything that one is supposed to repeat, you will lose inspiration. But still, you sort of force almost. And really, really do this consistently. And again and again I repeat this. Don't do it long. Really. Don't ever do it long. I always give this example, like alcohol. If you have never drank alcohol, and if you drank one bottle first day, what will you do? You will get sick and you will throw up and you will never want to see the sight of the alcohol. But if you drink 1 spoon every day, after a few months, you'll be a very good drinker. Just like that. You have to be persistent, you have to be consistent, but do it short. That's how I think, that's the best way, most economical, most enjoyable, and most productive. Never do so much of this thing all in one go. Oh, the spiritual path is, actually the spiritual path is the easiest, but because of its easiness, it becomes very, very difficult. And it's also very related to mind, Now even going to a gym every day or every 3 times a week, after a while you really don't want to do it like that. There's some sort of a discipline you need. I would say 7 minutes. 7 minutes, and at the least 3 times a week, if not every day. And basically we are talking about habituating. All your so-called negative, whatever negativity you have, they are basically a bundle of habit. And how did you get that? By doing it little bit. So use the same tactic. Do good things little bit, and then overcome that.
Moshe, you say because of a habit. How do I recognize if it's a habit or if it can also easily become an attachment? So how?
They are actually, from the Buddhist point of, they are very similar, actually. Ends up, many habits become an attachment. You can say habit is like a cause and the attachment is the result, but actually they're very, very, they're almost like a fire and the heat of fire. They're kind of same, but a little bit different also.
So that means I would need to be in a constant discussion with myself, saying like, where am I? Am I in the head?
Yeah, but instead of constant, I was suggesting maybe 7 minutes every day, or 3 times a week. But every day meaning, if it is 7 minutes, do 2 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes afternoon, maybe 2 or 3 just before you go to sleep. Very short. Short is good. Short is very important. Short, precise. And during that time, when you do short contemplation, sometimes you'll have a very good insight. Wow, that's how it is. At that time, don't get excited and do it longer. You understand? That's dangerous. Just do 2 minutes. And even though it's very nice, I don't know, read a book or eat something or talk with somebody or whatever. Of course, similarly, many times when you contemplate, dull, sleepy, not interested, uninspired, really don't want to do this, but do it still. game of be gentle to oneself and also discipline ourselves. You have to always have this sort of art of balancing the life. Gentle, firm, gentle, firm.
Many of us go through this conflict of being a professional manager versus a people's person, which I mean that sometimes we are very task focused. We are assigned to do a certain thing which we must accomplish. And at certain times it may be tough on the team members and the group of people that we are working with. But the task is for a larger purpose and an overall good. However, certain times we understand the limitation of the team, that they may not be as adept at doing the task. But by being, I would say, more precise, more stern, by driving them, we may accomplish the task. And in the process, the team themselves develop their ability. So essentially what I mean to say is that at heart, we have the good of people at large whom we are responsible for, and also for the team members who are performing those tasks. But in order to drive them, we may not always be most kind in our reflection or in the way that we express ourselves. So how do we get a balance?
Yeah, I don't think it's not being kind, you're just being, skillful, really like, say it, straight, be a little bit, I don't know, raise your voice, be firm. Not necessarily not being kind. Being kind is actually a very, very big visionary. It's visionary. You were talking about it, because at the end, it's going to be really productive on the whole and also individually. The team members will develop. So you are aiming for that. That's quite a good vision. Yes, sometimes you are stressed because of time, because of a certain goal, and because of a certain situation. Yeah. I have to run monasteries, and yes, it's really difficult. Because in the monastery situation, I cannot fire anyone. I cannot. They're stuck with me forever. It's terrible. And also, no one can fire me too. And this is terrible. And you know what? I can't resign also. It's the worst. I can't resign from my job. I don't know to whom, which department to send my application, resignation sort of letter. There's no such thing. It's terrible.
Can I just remind everybody that you have 20 minutes more with Rinpoche? I cannot believe there's a single person in this room that does not have a question related to their development, personal development, emotional situation. So please use these 20 minutes very preciously and put forth whatever is in your mind.
We all want to be very mindful and to be very aware and to be present. And to be in the flow, no matter how many distractions you might be having. There could be 50 things on the mind, but there's something that we really want to complete. And no matter whoever it might be, whichever job role they might be in. And there are many techniques, but is there something that works for everybody universally?
I think, yeah, as I said right at the beginning, I think the kindness is the key, which you already, you are exuding this. And I would only, ask to maintain that. That's I think that's the key. That's the universal caring. Because basically, your job is kind of caring job, isn't it? It's a caring thing. You're basically making somebody well by spiritually, emotionally, caring and creating the caring. I think that caring can be demonstrated through all sorts of things, like even where you put a dustbin, even where you, I don't know, what you do. I mean, I'm not talking about caring aesthetically, but that also, of course. But this is what I'm saying, subconsciously, people will appreciate. As I get old, I realize this more. Like in Japan, for instance, if you go to a shopping mall, and if you need to go to the washroom, basically in almost any shopping mall or any place, the toilet is just about 20 steps away. I think that's so caring for the design of the building. Stuff like that, it really makes a difference, especially when you are getting older. Like you go to Taiwan or any other. I went the other day, I had to meet somebody in Delhi, that big mall, shopping circuit, or whatever, it doesn't, oh my goodness, I had to go to Washington, you had to go up and, the signs are bad, and then finally I found it. There's no caring. They just want to sell things. They're not thinking about your pleasure, I guess. They're not caring about it. So, I think that kind of caring, even if it is a fake one, it works, actually. Yeah?
Rinpoche, I would see today's times are very stressful. So I believe that meditation really helps a person to overcome stress. But when a person sits into meditation, there's so many thoughts that keep coming. So we try to, concentrate maybe on breath or something. What, according to you, is most important thing when a person sits in meditation?
Well, as you said, just concentrating on the breath, that's a very, very popular technique, and it works. Because the breath that you breathe in and out is very, very, very connected to your thoughts. Tibetans, actually it's not really Tibetan, Buddhist, I should say, believe that your body, your nadis, your veins is like a maze, roads. And your prana, your breath, is like a blind horse. And your mind is like a handicapped rider. So right now, you have this just impossible maze, like a Dehradun road. What do you think? It doesn't have a good road, I have to say. The street is so bad, the traffic and small, no good sign. That's how body is. Because the way we eat, the way we, no exercise, no sitting straight, whatever. And then, poor blind horse, just guessing, right? Guessing some sort of a direction. And then, even more poor is the handicapped rider wherever the horse is going. Just have to go, can't really control. This is handicap. You can't, rein. So, coming back to the breathing, sitting is supposed to be good, if you have the chance. Sit, breathe in and out. Of course, we all do, breathe in and out. But what it really means is when you breathe out, only breathe out. When you breathe in, only breathe in. Not like, sort of halfway. That's supposedly the technique. Breathe out, breathe in, and then you try to concentrate. So by doing these three, like sitting already the maze, some of these maze, the road is a little bit straightened. And then suddenly the blind horse has a much better opportunity to do guess jobs, so much better orientation. And then the handicapped rat is much more balanced. So yeah, the breathing is good. You should do that. There are so many 100,000 techniques, but this is a good one.
I feel in today's times, most of us, think alike, and we have common dreams, common desires. In fact, we all, want to be rich and stay young forever. And similarly, when we talk about kindness, we feel, kindness about charity, about donations, about a lot of these world-like definitions, I would say. So, how can a person be kind to, his society or the people he lives with while doing his daily tasks, responsibilities, which is like taking care of the family and friends,
Right.
and yet doing his job.
Yeah. Well, there you might want to have a slightly extra information. That's where I guess time to time, we gather like this. I mean, which institute or which establishment like this have this kind of discussion, about more inner stuff, emotional stuff, spiritual stuff. Actually, that discussion is important. And if the, banks, restaurants, government offices, schools, if they begin their day with maybe 1 minute of contemplation, and if they end their day with a sort of a discussion on spiritual matter, I think it will really help a lot. But people don't really think of these things. I mean, not need to even do every day. Maybe once a week is fine. What do you need? What you are supposed to have more, discussions on spiritual stuff. Because as you said, most of the time we are always talking about what is in front, how much money we can make, how much what brand car we should buy, blah blah blah, all of that. But very few people talk about, is what I see really there? Stuff like, projections, not many people talk. If the politicians have talked like this before their parliamentary sessions, just for 1 or 2 minutes, would really help. Because supposedly the dialogues are very important, right, in the human realm. So this is a very sort of high level of dialogue, spiritual dialogue. It doesn't have to have a conclusion. There's never going to be a conclusion. That's not the point. But just bring it up. Like kindness. Because if you are only talking about the face value, what's in front, the kindness is the most useless. Today is like Wall Street, people think talking about kindness and thinking about kindness is while the index is going up and down, you are wasting time. You better read newspaper, you better discuss the index, right? Buy and sell and buy and sell. self. Yeah? Anything?
I'd like to ask regarding the selfishness when we say that, when we are happy, we are being selfish in terms of it. So, where does this selfishness, because as a word when we say selfish, that means to us, to ourselves, and when we say to the community, the kindness which we are talking about, that conflicts with that part. As when we say, we are happy, again that is personal selfishness which I'm doing, like I'm doing kindness or giving donation. But then it is our own selfishness which we are donating. It's not like, for own happiness. End of the day we are saying as complete kindness which we are giving.
Very good. I understand. Yeah.
So how can we,
be selfless?
Selfless or...
Yeah. You can. But you just need to train your mind. It's like if a forest is on fire, you cannot save tree, So you have to really protect the forest instead of protecting a tree. So thinking long term, thinking the whole, even that you would say, well, isn't that at the end benefiting you? Well, yes, but that way benefiting yourself is good, I would say, because it's not harming anyone at the least. Right now, concentrate everything on one tree. You harm others, and eventually you harm yourself. Now, if you want to really talk about the selflessness, especially from the Buddhist point of view, then we are talking another level of philosophy. Because we are then talking about a projection. Because the Buddhists think that self is just a projection. But I think on a more relative level, thinking big, thinking in terms of being visionary is very, very close to being selfless. But okay, there's maybe, wanting to benefit yourself also, but that kind of strategy is accepted and should be applied. Yes.
I have a question. Sometimes we come in a situation that we want to speak our truth and we don't speak because the other person don't want to listen to it. And sometimes he is willing to say, this is active emotions. But how to approach a person who is not willing to listen to the truth, but we still want to speak the truth? So it's
I guess case by case, isn't it? I think many times you should just say it. And other times, again, depending on the situation, you can say it in a different way. You can ask someone else to say it for you. You can wait until that person is in a better state so that he can listen and hear. Yeah, but I understand. Sometimes you have to say things within these 2 minutes because you have a deadline. It's difficult. But I think maybe you don't have to, macro-manage too much. Again, coming back to the kindness and being more visionary and thinking of the Guru, thinking on the long term, thinking of a bigger picture. If you have to say things, you just say it. But also, if it is coming out of kindness and all that, I think subconsciously other person will also not really mind at the end. we experience this kind of thing, isn't it? Many times we have people who tell you very directly, which may not be soothing to hear, but you kind of respect and love and don't mind that, overall.
But in case we keep it for a long time, I'm not being truthful to myself.
No, then maybe not so good. Then maybe you should find a way. And all sorts of gesture too. Bring a flower and say it. No, that's actually prescribed in the Buddhist text. A glass of water, whatever. Make fun.
I have a question. Normally it's that you should be happy, but that happiness should not have a reason, because it should not depend on a reason in your life. So how do you achieve that happiness without having the reason?
You can have reason to be happy, but sometimes you can be happy seemingly without a reason, right? I think you are talking about contentment. When people are content, they seem to be happy no matter what kind of thing, So you don't necessarily need a specific reason to be happy. I think that probably is what you are talking about. Contentment is a very big lesson in the Buddhist Bodhisattva path. Contentment in everything. I think that's a good lesson to learn. And there's many ways to do that. For instance, like just when you are going to bed, you should really celebrate that you have lived this much. That actually, wow, I've actually managed to went through the whole day. Because that could have not happened, You could have been killed by falling a branch on your head or something. You understand? Anything. A celebration, that's one. And then, this is classic Buddhist, thinking about impermanence of life. When you say, good night or goodbye, how are you to somebody, like your friend, maybe sometimes bring this awareness. This is it. This may be my last time saying good night or goodbye or how are you. Because that is true also. And I think that brings the preciousness. And I think this kind of exercise develops contentment. It's a bit like if you have a friend who has a sickness that only guarantees that they will live only 6 months. And let's say you are this very fussy person who cares so much about room is clean or something like that. You understand? But knowing that this person is only going to be here on earth for 6 months, you are not going to make a big deal. That kind of.
I have a question. You just mentioned that caring, even if it's superficial, it makes a difference. So I quite didn't understand.
And of course, ideally, you should be genuine, of course. But even a superficial, this is actually, again, I'm not making this up, this is Buddhist training. Even a superficial training can lead to more genuine. It's a technique. There's a lot of technique like that. Okay. Let's say, okay, very classic, very Buddhist classic. You know, some people suffer with a lack of confidence. There's an exercise that in your privacy, you think you are king or queen. Yes. And talk like king and queen. And then let's say you're very stingy. This is by Shantadevan, by the way. Gujarati man. Anybody from Gujarat here? Huh? Yeah, this is a Gujarat advice from Gujarat. Let's say you're very stingy. And he says you should do exercise of giving by one hand to the other hand. Generous, being generous. Like this. Yeah. And then he's so many exercises. Then begin to give things like water to other people that are not too expensive, not too, stuff like that. And then you habituate like that. Then once that habituation becomes perfect, you will not even think twice if somebody is asking for your neck. Please, habit. The strength of habit. Good habit and bad habit. That's it? I think so, no? But thank you so much for caring for me personally, every one of you. I'm very happy to be here.